Hi you guys, we are back in the kitchen for today's video. I have a super easy and super delicious recipe for you. We are going to be making blueberry muffins. They're a good like springtime bake, I feel like. And I know this recipe like the back of my hand because back when I was working in a bakery, they made muffins daily. So every morning they would be making fresh muffins and that was usually my job. And so I literally made these muffins every day for like months. Let's get into it. So the first thing I'm gonna do is line my muffin tin. I also have the oven preheating to 375. And the reason we're doing all this before we have our muffins, like our batter all mixed together, is because once we get the baking powder mixed in with our liquid ingredients, that will activate like the chemical reaction that causes the muffins to rise. And so if we wait too long between mixing them and getting them in the oven, they're not gonna rise properly. Like majority of recipes, you will see the first step is preheating the oven and like preparing your baking vessel. That's why. I line the pan like this. I've spaced them out. I feel like they rise better when they're not like overcrowded in the pan. The other reason, I don't know how many this recipe is gonna make yet. Obviously, when I was doing this in the bakery, it was on a much larger scale and I was using a larger muffin pan, so we will find out. Okay, now we are going to get our dry ingredients weighed out. I think for this video, I am fully prepared. My scale is working, I have sugar, I have flour, I think we're set. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch my other videos. For some reason, there's always something going wrong, but today I am hopeful. Okay, I think things will go smoothly. We're gonna start with about 300 grams of flour, and then I'm gonna do 225 grams of sugar. There we go. Okay, add some salt and some baking powder. This is all of our dry ingredients. I'm just gonna take a whisk, combine everything a little bit. So you can do it all by hand, super easy. Now I'm gonna set this aside and start getting our wet ingredients together. First thing I'm gonna do is some milk. I only have fat-free milk, so I'm gonna do a mixture of fat-free and half. Just gonna weigh this out. That was way too much. And the rest I will do with this. And then I'm just gonna add 2 eggs into this. And I have 1 stick of butter in this microwave safe dish, and I'm just gonna stick it in the microwave until the butter is melted. Also, I forgot to mention, this bakery that I worked at was completely gluten-free, and so these were supposed to be gluten-free muffins. I obviously used just normal all-purpose flour, but if you wanted to, you could use a one-to-one gluten-free flour. Where I worked, we would use Bob's Red Mill, if I remember correctly. So yeah, if you're gluten-free, you can make this gluten-free. Easy. The butter is melted and we have our wet ingredients measured out. But before I get into mixing everything together, I'm gonna measure out our blueberries as well. These my family picked over the summer, and obviously they were frozen. Just totally okay. You can use store-bought frozen blueberries. Whatever, they don't have to be fresh. Actually, I think it's preferable that you use frozen blueberries over fresh ones. I'm not entirely sure why, because these are a little bit icy. I'm going to rinse them off and then kind of try to dry them just so that we don't get any excess liquid in our muffins. Okay, I have the blueberries all measured out. I used about a little over a cup. Now I'm going to be adding some lemon zest, putting it into our dry mixture, which I just have this cut up lemon that I found in my fridge. I'll be using like half of it. What is this? This is half a lemon, yeah? I don't know, it's all cut up. So now that we have kind of our mise en place going on here, we can go ahead and get everything mixed together. I'm gonna add our milk mixture and our eggs. Add in our melted butter. I'm actually just realizing I've never made this recipe without gluten-free flour, but I imagine it'll turn out the same, so I guess we'll find out. This will be a bit of an experiment. We don't want to over mix this. We want there to be as little as possible amount of time between this being mixed together and getting into the oven. You also need to make sure there's not any clumps of flour. And the other thing to think about when you're mixing it, this is a lot for some reason. I don't know why this is a lot. I said it was an easy recipe. When you add in the blueberries, you want to make sure they're evenly distributed throughout the batter, or else your last few muffins just aren't gonna have any blueberries. Not the end of the world, because you can always like just grab more out of the bag or whatever, but just to keep in mind. Okay, I gave this a little spray. You don't have to do that, I just did because, I don't know, I always get nervous that things are gonna stick. But we're gonna portion these out now. When you are mixing your batter together, you should keep in mind that this part where you're just scooping, it's kind of continuing to mix this, like even though like you're still working the batter. Keep that in mind just to prevent them from getting overmixed. We're gonna try to fill these up as much as possible. And just real quick before I put them in the oven, I'm gonna top them off with some sugar in the raw, like that. And I have no idea how long we're gonna bake them for, but I will let you know once I take them out of the oven. Okay, it's been about 15 minutes. We are gonna check on these. That's how they look, yum. And the way I'm gonna see if these are ready or not is, I can already kind of tell, I don't think they are, but I'm gonna insert a toothpick into the center. I can already tell because the top is kind of gooey. You can see, I don't know if you can, maybe not. Definitely not ready, so we're gonna stick these back in the oven. So what we're looking for with that toothpick is either no crumbs on it for it to come out completely clean, or for just a few crumbs to stick on it. If you have a couple crumbs, that is okay because they're gonna have some carryover cooking once you get them out of the oven. That means they're obviously still hot, so they are gonna continue to bake even though they're out of the oven. We're honestly looking for it to not be 100% clean, more like 95% clean. Okay, so here are our finished muffins. With the extra batter that I had, I made a batch of mini ones. So we're gonna do a bit of a taste test, but before I get into that, I have a feeling this video isn't gonna be quite as entertaining as my other videos because today is one of those days where I just don't really feel like talking. It's a non-verbal day for me. I don't know. Maybe that's just an introvert's problem, but we were able to enjoy the video. So yeah, let's give these a try. I also have some tea with me. However, it is still too hot to drink safely, so we're just gonna keep it over there. First, we're gonna try the big one. I'll try both just because we gotta, you know, I don't know, I just want to eat. Yum. They're so good. I'm gonna eat the little one too. I kind of forgot these were in the oven. I'll see that as a pattern in a lot of my videos. Aww. Can see what I mean by mixing the blueberries in properly, because this only has one little blueberry in it. They're so good. I love muffins. Muffins are probably, I think muffins and bagels are like my favorite baked good, like something I could eat every day. Think about the simplicity of them just makes them so perfect, like yum. Maybe that's a good video idea, making bagels. Comment down below if you are. Also, I hope I had my mic on in the last clip. I was just like messing with it and I realized I don't think it was on. That might be a good video idea. We can make bagels. So that being said, comment down below if there's any recipes you want me to try, or if you want to hear more about when I was working in a bakery. I also went to culinary school. Also, I was a line cook. And let me know if you try this recipe. I think it's a great spring recipe. Unfortunately, I live in Alaska, and so we actually just got a storm warning or a snowstorm. If you have the privilege of living somewhere outside of Alaska, then it's probably looking a little more like spring. So I recommend you use this recipe. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye! Okay, yeah, it's still hot.